All right, welcome back. In the last segment, we went through the numbers here as related to the race, both national and all those key battleground states. Now we're going to focus on where the candidates go from here. And as we said, tick-tock here, only a few days till the debates and only 40-some-odd days till we all vote here. Now, let's start off with Mitt Romney, who continued to take it on the chin from the pundits this weekend. And if you think, oh, it's some lefties from what? No, no, no. Most of these are coming from friendly fire here, from people within the Republican Party, people you would think who want to see Mitt Romney win, including some very influential conservative pundits.
Their core problem was carefulness, inability to focus on their own essential meaning.
I think he's a non-ideological person running in an extremely ideological age, and he's faking it.
That's, trust me, just a sample. Now, to twist the old saying a little with friends like these, who needs Democrats? But at least one noted conservative still thinks Romney can win. He just needs to become a different guy running a different campaign.
I think you got to get off the heels and you got to get out and charge forward. I think Americans want a fighter. They want someone who's not going to fight over politics, but rather who shows that that this guy, Mitt Romney, is going to fight for the American people when he gets in the office. He's not going to be on his heels. He's going to move forward. I want to see fire in the belly. I want to see him move forward. All
right, so let's bring it full circle in that you've got the Peggy Noonans of the world who've really said this thing's been inept, and they're being charitable when they say that. It's one of the poorly run campaigns they can think of. You've got folks, you know, from the Jeb Bushes and the rest wing of the party saying, listen, by running so far away from the middle, it's impossible to get back to it come the election. They question tactics. And then you got guys like Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, who says, where's the passion? Where's the fire? You got people criticizing his schedule. That he doesn't get out there and campaign enough. He's been working the fundraisers, and now we're well into only a month and a half left to go in the election. If there's one thing he can change, whether it's, I think it's probably too late to change campaign management, right? But if it's tone, if it's policy, if it's perception, what does he have to do different?
Well, first of all, when you look at David Brooks, who writes for the New York Times, I don't necessarily consider him to be a conservative supporting Romney.
You know, I can find a whole bunch.
But when it gets, you know,
Bill
Peggy
Crystal,
Noonan,
for crying out loud,
I understand,
Peggy Noonan.
And Crystal has been roundly criticized for his remarks. Peggy Noonan and Scott Walker, I put them in the cheerleader category. Your team it's a very close game, and the quarterback is working hard, and you're going, come on, throw the ball.
No, they called it, what was it, inept or disastrous? That's an interesting cheer.
You know, this is all part of the game. I don't see this as a huge problem. I see it as the conservatives being so excited that we have a chance to do something really good in November, and they're just eager.
How much of a problem, though, is it, Congressman, that they don't really think he's a conservative and they don't know what his core is?
Well, look, this is the point is, this is the guy who's the candidate that has the shot at winning. Nobody else does, and he's on his way. He's within the margin of error. The debates are to go. He's raising the money because you have to have the money. He's doing very well, and the president's administration essentially is in a shambles.
You know,
it's a shambles.
You know what, though, Andrew? It's this incapability of owning a day. We know how it works. What do we do, Dom? Every night, whoever, and we're kind enough to be joined with the Congressman, we're going to be talking about what the note of the day is. The 47% tape, right? You couldn't make that up, okay? That controlled 3 to 4 days of messaging. What was it this week? He puts out his returns on Friday. He tells everybody, I never paid less than 14%. You dig, not even too deep. The next morning, the Wall Street Journal, again, not the bleeding heart rag, okay, goes and says, no. He chose not to include all the deductions he could have. It's closer to 10% in the reality. He can't ever own a message here.
When was the last
time?
And
is that the campaign of the candidates?
When was the last time he owned a day? Was it the day of the Libya attacks? I mean, was it? And
that was a bad day.
Right, and he was criticized for that. And before that, when he's had the clarity of the media, when he's been able to get his message out, it's been bashing the president as opposed to putting his own plan forward and getting specific with voters and giving voters a reason to want to make the jump from Obama to Romney. If it's just a referendum on President Obama, that's not going to do it. Listen, one of these days, several years from now, Mitt Romney's going to look back and wish he had run for president.
And you know, Tom, I don't think it's a cheap shot. My point is, I know a lot of people who don't like the president. Not just that, like, they don't want to see him reelected. They really don't. But they're going to stay home. Or they're not going to run out, certainly write a check for Mitt Romney. They don't find the alternative appealing. Now he's asking my advice. I don't think he tries to become likable. I think he goes the other way to say, you know what? I make a lot of money. trying to pay as least taxes as I can. I'm a businessman. I don't do everything popular, but if you want somebody who knows how to run a business, whether I agree with it or not the point, this is who I am. Now, if you want the nice guy, go vote for him, right? I'm not going to be your buddy. What I am going to do is try and run this like a company. Well, if he said that, he's going to turn off a lot of people. Yeah. But at least some people are going to say,
completely go down the train.
Where's it going now? Well, I can hear the flush.
But you know, one thing that the congressman is saying, we can talk all night, all day. He's still within the margin of error of winning this thing. One incident goes one way or the other.
If you're talking a popular vote, I get it, Dom. But you know, you're not. You can't reverse. Nobody in Ohio thinks that Mitt Romney relates to the middle class. Okay?
Fair enough.
And you can't have a pathway to 270. He ain't winning New York and he ain't winning California. He's got to get
anyway.
right.
Yeah,
so,
but he's looking like he needs about a 6 to 7 point swing to move the needle in enough
Let me ask you
swing
a different
states
question.
to get there.
Barack Obama, on a lot of other campaigns, would have gotten some heat today because he didn't meet with Netanyahu. Whether we think it's fair or not, it's not important. How do you think he's handled the UN conference that he'll be meeting, but he won't be having any private meetings? He'll make an appearance, but yeah, he'll go to the View, but he won't be sitting down one-on-one with any world leaders given what's going on in the Middle East.
I'm not so sure it's going to hurt him. I mean, they'll certainly open him up to attack, but how he defends himself against those attacks is going to be what the impact of this thing is. The Netanyahu thing was going to be a loser no matter what happened with it. If he meets with Netanyahu, he's going to get bad press off it. If he doesn't meet with Netanyahu, he'll get bad press off it. So he was going to take a hit with Netanyahu anyway.
I think Netanyahu overplayed his hand a little bit, don't you?
I think there's just an amazing situation here where Ahmadinejad is coming to New York City to speak to the UN just before Yom Kippur, a guy who's a Holocaust denier, and the presidents go up and share the stage, essentially the same stage with that guy.
UN works?
And he's not meeting with Netanyahu. What's the
what
message to the Jewish community? The message to the Jewish community is you don't care.
No, but here's my
You don't matter.
Here's my
It's ridiculous.
point about that drove me crazy today. I don't care if the president, Republican, Democrat, Green, Purple Party, it doesn't make a difference to me. He doesn't control the UN agenda. The United States doesn't get to unilaterally decide who's a member of the UN, who gets to talk at the UN. Now, if people want to get up and walk out of the room like they've done before, God bless them, but it's not the President of the United States' place to decide we're going to deny unpopular people to come. There's a Security Council that's going to vote one way or the other on this
He can
thing.
decide whether or not he's going to meet Netanyahu. Under these conditions, he should be. There's turmoil in the Middle East. It's on fire. It's burning up, and Iran is building nuclear weapons.
He claims he talks to him on a regular basis.
Oh, nonsense. Show some political smarts here. Let's have an appearance and a handshake.
You want me to wrap this up again? Because
An appearance and a handshake.
Netanyahu is backing Mitt Romney. Netanyahu wants Mitt Romney to win the election. They've been friends for a long time. It's also advantageous to his political position in Israel.
Hang
on one second,
friends,
Congressman.
They haven't shown that they're friends.
They've been friends since
Shake
they worked in Boston together
Press
back
the
in
flesh.
30 years ago. But Netanyahu in the bag for Romney. If Obama meets with Netanyahu, Netanyahu's going to walk out and say, we're miles apart. There was no progress made here today. If he doesn't meet with him, it's going to be, well, he wouldn't meet with me. That's why I was saying it's a no-win situation for President Obama, and I think a lot of people are aware of that, especially in the Jewish community that you're referring to.
I couldn't disagree more. It's a win-win for Obama to meet with him under these conditions. If you read the book, The Amateur, it shows that he's alienated part of the Jewish community for just this sort of reason.
I'll let that be the last word here. We jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we move away from the presidential trail and we move to an issue that's got some New Yorkers' blood boiling over here. A debate about whether or not this is a practical program here or it's just one where somebody lost some common sense. High schoolers, they can have access to the morning after pill without parental consent. Is this just an idea that's rooted in practicality, trying to curb teen pregnancies, or is this something that goes way overboard here, putting too much power in the hands of the school instead of the parent? That's coming up next. Stay with us.